Hello folks, and welcome to WTAJ Plus's Summer Road Adventure. We are in Bedford today, and it's pretty exciting. We're doing something brand new here, being live only on our website, doing all of our content digitally, thanks to Ansley RV. We've been traveling in what's been kind of like the fifth Beatle, for example. It's been another superstar on this trip, helping us out, kind of being the hub. We're running all of our power off the RV. It's been actually extremely comfortable fitting the 6 or so people we have in there. And putting all the stories together. So it's been really great. Thanks to Ansley RV for doing that. If you noticed, we're here at Old Bedford Village. Beautiful place, a lot of history here. And it's really exciting to kind of host our first show here because all of the history of Bedford and tying all of these Bedford stories that we have for you here on this show. This is the great place to do it. So let's bring them in. We have Joy and Dave here. Let's just talk about the importance of a place like this to kind of tell the history of Bedford.
That's what we're here for. We want to tell people what the history was of Bedford County. We bring students in here to learn 1800s living. A lot of the kids that come here, they don't realize this is how their grandparents or somebody has lived.
Yeah, everyone now is on their smartphones. It's Fortnite, it's Snapchat, it's all that type of stuff.
Right. And we want to educate them on the history. There is a lot of history in Bedford County, and it's lost. They're just not teaching it anymore.
And that's why you can bring the students in. And Dave, you do something that's pretty unique, probably these kids haven't seen before, but smithing. Tell us what the kids can get out of seeing all that.
Well, when they come in my shop, they can see methods that were done in the 18th and early 19th century in tool making, household items. They can learn about how steel and iron was made in the period and how important it was to the fabric of America, the iron and steel that we needed to make things, which eventually evolves into the steel industry in Pittsburgh and stuff. So this is like the beginnings of the history of that here in Bedford County.
And Bedford is historic. We're talking, all the time. Every place we went, they talked about the history. And without, it's so important to tell these kids what happened back then.
Right, it is, and that's why we have our program that's called Hands On, because we do want to educate them what the history was of Bedford County. It's a very family-oriented. There's a lot of seeing. There's a lot of things that the kids can do. Somebody can do anything. I mean, there's a lot to do for all ages. It's not just for the kids. It's for everyone.
And then with you guys have a Facebook page, Old Bedford Village, and you're able to go on there and win some prizes, I've heard.
Yes. What we want you to do is go on our Facebook page under Old Bedford Village. If they do that, they like us, they follow us, they have a chance to win some prizes and some passes to get into Old Bedford Village.
That's great. Guys, thanks for hosting us here. I think this is a perfect location for being here on Bedford for the first Summer Road Adventure. Thank you guys so much.
All right, you're welcome.
Guys, we've been, as we said, we've been traveling all over the place and checking out all these two things. Another piece of history is Old Bedford Fort. Sean was a part of that with us. Sean, I want to bring you in. You're new to the whole area. So this is kind of new for you. Have you been out to Bedford before?
I have not. Being kind of in that Cambrian, Somerset County area, this was absolutely nice to not only get out of the county and explore this county, but really just learn a lot. And I can tell you, going to the museum today, I learned a lot.
Yeah, you got to see a whole bunch of different stuff and get to show off some of the cool things they have there. So let's take a look and see what Sean saw.
We have something for everybody who's interested in history.
The Fort Bedford Museum, full of history, built in 1958 by the citizens of Bedford to commemorate the original 1758 fort. The museum features many historical artifacts, including a 200-plus-year-old flag.
It overheard meetings and conversations between General Forbes, Bouquet, and a very young George Washington.
The flag is one of a kind.
This is arguably the only remaining French and Indian War era flag in existence.
Also cool, the recent acquisition of a trunk from 1786 of one hero known as Indian Eve Ernst.
It is the actual trunk that Eve Ernst purchased in Fort Detroit and brought back with her as she walked home to Bedford in 1786, carrying the few possessions that she had.
Like many of the authentic items in the museum, the trunk was passed down from generation to generation and then donated. Of the many visitors, one couple came all the way from Ohio to see the museum.
So my wife and I are on vacation, and we like to go to the various historical sites on vacation. So this year's theme was kind of in the French and Indian War, and a lot of that stuff happened here in southern Pennsylvania.
Shepard says while history may seem dull, getting out and exploring brings it to life.
Fun thing about history, everyone thinks it's boring when you're sitting in class, but when you get out to experience it and see those items in life and you can experience it, that takes it to a whole new level.
If you're on the fence and want more history, Fort Bedford Museum isn't limited to just the French and Indian War.
It's meant to be about the French and Indian War, but really we have something for all periods.
Sean, great work there. Now you saw all these different things. What is something that stuck out with you when you're going through the museum there?
So lots of things that stuck out, but I think one of the bigger ones was a flag that's more than 200 years old, sat in the presence of conversations between, George Washington and many other people, which, it's crazy to think about. So that was something that really stuck out, and, one of the bigger attractions there that Jen was talking about.
Yeah, that's really neat. I mean, you kind of get into the presence of history and you get to see some of these things that may have encountered some important person in history, and you kind of get taken aback, don't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sean, thank you so much for doing that for us, and that's been kind of a theme. This whole way, all this history and things like that. So we stopped at Golden Eagle Inn while we were putting some of these stories together. We went to Golden Eagle Inn, and it's actually a bed and breakfast there that you can actually stay, and breakfast is included into the restaurant. And it's actually from Dr. Anderson. You kind of get a little bit of a theme from Dr. John Anderson downtown with the Anderson House, but they think this was his residence back in building it close to the end of the 1700s. They say on their website 1794. That was known as the Anderson Mansion, and they actually have a lot of things from food to the pub downstairs. It's really a lot for you to get to experience there at Golden Eagle.
Ours is a very old inn with a lot of modern conveniences, and I think good overall atmosphere, charm, good food, good drink, good company, nice atmosphere for enjoying both.
I also want to talk a little bit about the food at Golden Eagle. It's something that I got to experience personally with Chili Fest in downtown Bedford. He likes to experiment and do some different things. It's something different every week. When he did Chili Fest the one year, it was alpaca chili. When Chef Zach did Chili Fest the next year, they did kangaroo. So he likes to experiment. He likes to do new things. Here's what Tom had to say about the food there at Golden Eagle.
His corned beef duck, which was just sensational. Honestly, he does something great every week. We are known for the burgers, which are Pat LaFrida burgers. They're the best there are, and but we do really a little bit of everything.
Yeah, so I mean, and again, the common theme you're going to hear about is the Anderson name downtown. Right in that little area, right next to Golden Eagle Inn, is the old Anderson House, which has been converted into Southern Alleghany's Museum of Art, and that's when we bring in Darby Sparks here. Darby, you got to see some of the art there, and I think one of the cool things is they incorporate local artists. What are some of the things that you saw there?
Well, their first floor is a exhibit that shows the difference between urban and nature landscapes, and so I thought that was really interesting. And then in the upstairs they really feature some of the more regional and local artists, so I really liked that.
So you were able to take a tour. Michael took you on a tour. Let's take a look at that.
Hi, I'm Darby Sparks, and I'm with WTAJ, and this is Michael Wells, and she's a Visitor Services Associate with Sama Bedford Art Museum, and she's going to give me a tour around. First of all, what painting are we standing in front of right now?
Well, this is Altoona, and it was done by Kevin Cutts, and he is one of our more well-known local artists, and we're pretty proud to have this piece displayed.
Sweet. All right, let's take a look around.
She takes me around the first floor's exhibit to start.
Right now we have on exhibit landscapes and urbanscapes.
Wells says that the exhibit is put on so that people can recognize the contrast between the two.
The difference in style and the colors, it makes it interesting just because there's so much change and you're visually interesting.
The first floor features various artists, both local and international, and displays pieces that were made during different time periods.
People who have come in here to see the art have been extremely surprised at the quality and the quantity of art that we have here in this small town.
Their collection also includes many well-known names.
In our permanent collection, we have an Andy Warhol, we have Rembrandt, we have Mary Cassatt, the peels.
Moving up the stairs, which are decorated by an impressive poster collection, the second floor exhibits are more focused on regional artists.
He was originally from Altoona and then later moved to Pittsburgh.
Featuring currently a photographer and an oil painter.
He's just kind of combining what he's thinking about.
Both of which encourage their audience to put thought into their pieces, which is exactly what Sama's goal is.
The importance of art has lost some ground in our culture, and I feel like we are trying to remind people that you do need it. I think that our goal as Sama employees and Sama, like the museum itself, is to show people how art can affect you.
Okay, so Darby, I mean, one of the things that I remember when I took the tour and it first opened was the vault. Did you get to see the vault at all downstairs?
I did. I loved the old shoe that was in there.
Yes, isn't that cool?
So cool.
I did a tease for when I was teasing like me being there. I shot it coming out of the vault, and it was kind of weird. I was a little afraid of getting locked in there. They told me that wouldn't happen, but that art in there, isn't it amazing? Some of the local artists and what they can do.
Yes, one particular local artist, he made an entire painting and then he would paint over it in black, then scratch it out, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting technique because I can't paint anything regardless of scratching it out and things like that. Yeah, not very artistic. I'm artistically challenged, I think. We'll see that in a little bit later. Darby, thank you so much for being with us. We'll have you back in just a little bit. And guys, as we said, you know, one of the things that these businesses are very connected. There's a lot of camaraderie in these businesses, and one of those was Bluefield Herbery that we were there. Actually, no, Pigeon Hills. We're talking art. Sorry, Pigeon Hills. We were talking about art, and I don't have any skills at all. We were at the Pigeon Hill studio where they show off some of this art pieces, and what's really neat is it's a nice place where they host some of these downtown Bedford events where other businesses set up shop for things like Chili Fast or the Wine Walk, and they can start right in there. Mary Pat was kind enough to give me a little bit of a clay lesson, and just see how I did. All right, Mary Pat, how do I begin? Because I totally listened. It's just the comprehension problem.
Okay, put your hands on it like this, and then put your thumbs together and just press down until I pretty much tell you to stop. Don't go the whole way down.
Pressing down. Thumbs are wet.
Okay, why don't you stop? Take a look at it. A little bit more.
I'm like a...
Okay, that's good. That's good. All right.
See, yeah, that's good.
Good job. Look, he's centering a pod, opening it up. So now what you want to do is you want to put your fingers in and just go straight across.
Oh, that's right. That's the assisted.
Yeah,
thing.
and don't go farther than this outside edge.
Okay.
Okay. Keep on going a little faster. Okay. A little bit more. Just on the inside. See how... There, good. Stop. Okay.
Ooh.
So now I'm just going to press down in this pot.
For some reason, my pot had like a little knob at the bottom there.
Yep.
Okay.
That's common on newbies. But that's a way you can make a handle too.
So do you teach people how to do this here?
Yeah, I teach people how to do it. If people want to try it, I do a one-time. I call it Take a Spin class.
Oh.
And it's a one-time session where they'll throw about 4 or 5 pots, and it takes about 2.5 hours. And a lot of people discover that it's a lot harder than it looks.
Oh yeah.
And they either really like it, want to come back, or they're glad they crossed it off their bucket list.
Okay, what's next?
Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to work on this side of the wheel right here.
Yeah, the 4 o'clock.
And you want your hands always to be together. So hands touching, hands touching. So
that's
make
right.
a bird,
Yes, the bird. Yes,
and
the bird.
make a claw.
Okay.
Okay, and these 2 fingers start at the bottom of the wheel. These 2 sit here, and you just squeeze together and pull all the way up. You need to put a little bit more pressure on there. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right, so I have a little bit of a wobble, but it's okay.
A little bit of a wobble, but we can save that. But the way you prevent that wobble is when you come off of it, be very slow and controlled. And if you go off too fast, that's how you get a little wobble. But we'll clean it up a little bit.
See, that's the problem. I'm never in control.
That's okay. This is all good fun. Okay, so why don't you try that one more time?
Okay.
Okay, hands
Bird.
together.
4 o'clock.
Yeah, claw. I'll add a little water so it's a little slippier. Easy does it. Easy
Oh,
does it.
no.
Classic
No.
beginner's move.
No.
But we can fix that.
It's like a lid for. That's a nice little lip for like a sippy cup. I'm making a sippy bowl.
Hey, you know what? You just made the classic beginner's move.
Well,
So-
I'm glad
so
that the
you're
people
good.
at home get to see that.
Yes.
The classic
this
beginner
is,
move.
Yep, that's what happens. So now we'll just start again. So why don't you give it a shot?
Oh gosh. Okay.
Keep your elbows on your knees. There you go.
All right.
All right.
Here we go. Giant fingers. Impatient fingers.
So squeeze, but not too hard and not too fast. And go up, up, straight. Whoops, straight up. There we go. You want to make a cylinder. You want to go straight up, not out.
Okay.
Okay, try that one more time.
So nervous.
You're doing a great job. Especially for a beginner. Nice. Good. I think we should call that a day.
I think we should call that a day. Look at that.
What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Okay, I'll make it a blue bowl.
We'll make it a blue bowl. So
Yeah.
if people want to come check out Pigeon Hill Studios, what can they do?
They can take a spin class if they're serious potters or have had pottery experience before. I offer memberships, monthly memberships, and they can also come in for workshops. I offer a variety of pottery workshops. You can always check my Facebook page or my website, which honestly I don't update it as much as I should. I also have open studio on Tuesdays, so if they do artwork like painting, drawing, and they want to get feedback from peers, I have retired art teachers here. I have a variety of really skilled artists that help to encourage people who are trying to improve on their skills. So it's a great atmosphere on Tuesday night to just come and hang out and do some artwork and be among peers.
That's awesome. Art in Bedford, folks. Thanks, Mary Pat.
Thank you.
And yeah, so I mean, doing that clay pottery is not something that I do very often. And she said I actually made the first beginner's mistake right off the bat. So I guess I did as expected. And it's something that you do and you think, oh, you know, making a clay pot might be a little easy. It was actually really hard. Thanks to Mary Pat for having patience with me and teaching me a little bit about pottery. She said she's actually going to take that bowl and make it and actually make it into something. So maybe a little bit later in the coming weeks, we'll be able to show you what that finished product is. We were talking about some of the interconnectivity of some of these businesses downtown, how they point you into one direction. Hey, you need a bite to eat, go here. If you are looking for some cool things to wear, we have this shop over here. And one of those places that really seen it all happen over the couple years is Bluefields Herbery. They've been there for 23 years, and it's one of those natural medicine herbery places where it kind of tries to treat really any ailment. They've just got in the CBD oils is something that obviously we've talked about on the news a little bit as it's popped up and become more and more popular. But it's really about trying to treat and to have a healthy lifestyle through these natural ways.
People always are amazed with the town as far as small as we are, but they just love this area. They're impressed. The people are very helpful. They're outgoing and try to help everybody. We get a lot of transit in this area.
And the other thing that they talked about is something that really catches your eyes when you're in Bedford is their window display. They change that thing seasonally and they put a lot of work into it. Eddie's wife and his brother-in-law kind of work together on the creativity, and it's really something that people see when they're downtown and they notice, and that's what makes them come in. Actually, it's been a place for photography. Listen to Eddie tell us about that.
That brings a lot of people in the store. Many photographers and pictures are taken out there, believe me. Actually, that started with my wife. She loves that, and her brother, which was in New York, now he's in Philadelphia. but he was into all that. So he comes up with these great ideas. I just get to do the work, you know. He has the ideas and puts everything behind it. But, you know, we work as a team. We have a couple other folks from the Altoona area that come in and help us. And, you know, it's a team effort.
And that was a neat little place. Darby was in there for a little while. That place was kind of neat, wasn't it?
It smelled so good.
Yeah.
I thought that it was just so soothing, everything in there. So yeah, it was amazing.
And the essential oils, and Eddie was quite the character too. You walked in there and, you know, we just had gotten really off the RV and we're kind of getting our footing, and he kind of got the energy up right away.
Yeah, he did. He really picked us up. He had a lot of jokes to give out. And
You asked him, he was like, so how are you doing? And he said, if I was doing any better, I couldn't stand it.
yeah.
So he was quite the character. One of the other places we all visited together was Old Bedford Brewery, and taste some of those beers. Are you beer drinkers, guys? Beer drinkers?
Occasionally.
Occasionally?
Not too much, but.
Not too much?
One of the things the lady said was you can really get into any of the beers that they make. And I really liked their dark beer, which I'm not usually a fan of dark beer, but they had chocolate and espresso in it. And I thought that was really interesting. So I like the taste of that.
Yeah, and those that chocolate and espresso, it was espresso from Hebrews Coffee right down the street. And then the fudge was from Bedford Candies. Again, all these businesses working together, incorporating. Here's our time at Old Bedford Brewery. Old Bedford Brewing has become a hotspot in Bedford to stop, sip, and relax.
There was a lot of people in town that were familiar with craft brews, and then there was a lot of people that weren't. So we found that we had an opportunity basically to, the folks that wanted craft breweries, beer, they were able to come here, and the folks that weren't, we had an opportunity to basically introduce it.
All beers are brewed on site and have names reflecting the history in Bedford.
Because Bedford played a role in the Underground Railroad during the Civil War. So that's why we brewed this. It's called Railroad to Freedom Wheat. A lot of our beer names correspond to the history in and around Bedford.
Whether you like an ale or stout, or maybe not beer at all, Old Bedford Brewing is confident they'll find you something you like.
If you come in here and you can't find a beer that you think is drinkable, then I'll be surprised. I've converted many a non-beer drinker into liking something.
And I think I can speak for almost all of us, but I know personally I would visit that place again in a heartbeat. Give it a try when we're not working.
Absolutely.
I'd be down.
You'd be down. Give it a try when we're not working. So day one's in the books. How'd you feel about Bedford? You guys get to learn a little bit about Bedford?
I love Bedford. Absolutely.
Sean?
Oh yeah, you know, I'm definitely coming back.
Definitely coming back. Tomorrow's Blair County, but we want to thank Old Bedford Village for having us here. Guys, let's talk one more time about the place. How can people visit, and how long are you guys open?
Okay, we are actually open we are open in May to October, except we do have 2 Christmases, the first 2 Saturdays of December. So I'm gonna let Dave here.
And we have an event coming up here in August. It's a very good event. It's a Living History event. We're going to have a lot more people in the buildings demonstrating what they do, talking about different periods of history, kind of like a timeline. So we're going to have a lot more crafts for people to see, and that is the 17th and 18th of August. And then later in the month, we'll have an event that has to do with a special Civil War event that goes on here. That'll be like a recruitment event for the Union Army. So
wow.
And again, it is very family oriented. There is something for everyone, all ages.
Something for everybody, folks. Old Bedford Village, thank you guys for hosting us here as we do our first live summer road adventure show. It is in the books. Thank you to all of the places in Bedford County for letting us kind of invade their space for the day. Thank you all for watching, and also a special thanks to Ansley RV for giving us that all-star, that person we needed. That RV, man, has been able to be our workstation, our hub of power. Everything we need is all in there. So thank you to that. And guys, tomorrow we hit up Blair County. We'll be going to the Cove. I'm excited to show these guys the Cove and everything they have to offer. So make sure you tune in on WTAJplus.com. If you feel like you missed anything from today's show or any of the stories, they will be there on WTAJplus.com as well. Follow along on our social media. That is it for us today, folks. We'll see you in Blair County tomorrow. Take care.